Barbecue on Twitter. I got my man Jay Felicio. Did I say that right?
You got it right. That's impressive. First time. I like
awesome.
it.
At G-Man J on Twitter. And I got one of my favorite folks on Twitter as well, Derek Overby. Did I say that right?
That's it.
Yep. You said it like Ron Burgundy a little bit. Overby? Like
See, I did that to shield myself from any sort of criticism right there.
Smart.
But anyway, dude, how you guys doing, man?
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, to inviting us on the first episode of this. We've all interacted many times on Twitter, but I think this is the first time we're all talking face to face, really, other than the going for two meeting here or there. So I appreciate it. I'm excited.
How about you, Derek? Good?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I just grilled burgers for dinner in 20-degree weather, so
nice.
Doing well. Yeah,
you're speaking my language over here. A little barbecuing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, are y'all good as far as that whole crazy winter storm that's going across the freaking, I guess, every part of the country except for Arizona, where I'm at?
We're supposed to get hit tonight. We're getting ice storm. I actually found out right before I left work. We're on a 3-hour delay. Schools are closed for the kids, so we're right on the borderline that's supposed to get hit heavy. I hope we don't lose power. It shouldn't be too bad if we do get hit, but could be a day without power. So not fun with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Fair point. What about you, Derek? Are you in that region yet?
Yeah, we're getting so I live right outside Philadelphia, so we're getting like 6 to 9 inches tomorrow. And the span of
inches?
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
We all have kids, right? That's from Madagascar. We all know this.
Yeah.
So in a span of like 5 or 6 hours, we're getting about 6 to 9 inches or so.
Lord,
so
y'all stay safe, man. Jesus.
Yeah. What was it? 2 weeks ago, we got 20 inches, so this is nothing compared to that.
Lord have mercy. Jesus. I'm so happy to be in Arizona. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm from, Jay, you stay down in North Carolina, right?
Yep, that's where I live. I was born in New York, but I grew up in North Carolina. I'm still here.
So I'm from like the southern border of Virginia and like the northern border of North Carolina. So
okay.
I remember that weather back in the day.
Yep, absolutely. That's the area that always gets hit. Like Greensboro and above is just always get hammered.
Exactly.
I went to school in Greensboro, so that's where I went to college.
UNCG?
Yep.
My man. Okay. I can mess with that. That's cool. Hey, so we have, and also, before we get started, so we have a phantom voice over here. That's just Derek. Don't worry about it, y'all. It'll be fine. Technical difficulties. This is the first show.
That's all right.
Hey, we're making it happen.
That's right. We're working through it. But we have an awesome show. We're going to be talking about our biggest hits and misses from 2020. A couple from all three of us. We're going to be talking about our terrible NFC East teams and how we can. You know what we're going to do? We're going to correct everything, and we're going to make them better through the free agency process and the draft as well. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking. I can't have Derek on here without talking a little Office. That has to happen. Yeah. and we just got
I got right up there is Dwight.
My man.
You can't really tell, but he's up there.
Okay. I got him at my work desk actually. So
okay, there you go.
But anyways, I want to get it popped off. I know Jay, you're on a pitch count tonight. You got another pod you're going to immediately after this one.
Yep. Our guy Marco couldn't make it on his 14 personnel pod, so I'm gonna hop on with those guys at 9 o'clock. So double dip tonight.
And what an awesome pod that is too.
They're a bunch of good guys over there.
They're great guys.
Don't tell them I said that. This is live streaming or anything, but those guys are really talented.
We only have tens of fans here. That's it. No, we're not in any worry of anybody noticing anything on this pod, I promise. Well, let's get it started, man. I want to start with you first, Jay. Give me one of your biggest hits from 2020.
AJ Brown, a lot of people didn't consider him an option when it came to a wide receiver one. They thought, his volume was unsustainable from the year before, not necessarily believing in Ryan Tannehill. And man, I thought it was one of those situations that talent's going to play out. This heavy run team, obviously with Derrick Henry, but I was all over AJ Brown, and it didn't look good at first. He had a rough game and then he got injured, was out a few games. They said that the doctor told him he needed to have knee surgery and be out for the year. And he said, no, I'm going to do it. And he made the Pro Bowl. So I'm glad that this is a situation that worked out where, talent, it's not always going to work that way where talent outperforms situation, because it's not necessarily the best situation for a wide receiver. But man, he is just a monster. He's amazing after the catch. I had him in a lot of spots and wasn't that great a year for me overall, but that was one of my good calls. So I was very happy about that.
Hey, the silver linings, that's what really matters.
Absolutely.
So, as far as so the narrative was regression over from the 2019 to 2020 season.
Yeah.
You just weren't buying into that, or like because I mean Ryan Tannehill, what was his touchdown percentage from 2019? It was something incredible, right?
Right.
Why weren't you buying into that?
Well, it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't buying into it. I liked the value that he was getting. We all know it's all about value when it comes to fantasy, and sometimes people see that small sample size and extrapolate over a full season, and then what happened with Lamar Jackson last year? With Tyler Higbee, he saw that small sample size, extrapolated over the full season, and said, "Oh, he's going to be a tight end, the tight end one." I was not anywhere near Higbee. I just thought that there was a good enough chance for him to repeat solid production for where he was going in drafts.
That's perfect. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times, and especially in redraft, we always look at obviously talent counts, but situation over talent is what we really latch onto in redraft.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
Right. And what I was meaning when I said Lamar Jackson is the reason, Lamar Jackson didn't have that bad of a year this year, but the reason everybody was so upset with him is they drafted him so high. He had to repeat that production he had from the year before, which wasn't going to happen. It was a historic season. The reason I've said this on our pod with me and Dan a few times, if the reason he was so valuable is because you got him so late and you got that first, second, third round production. But when you're drafting him there, you're drafting him at your ceiling, you're taking all the risk.
100%. Yeah. And that's something I think that we all need to avoid is drafting players at their ceiling. And like you said, Lamar Jackson is that way. Hell yeah. Derek, what about you, my man? Who was one of your biggest hits from 2020?
So for me, it was Aaron Rodgers. So a little backstory. I've played fantasy football for 15 years now. And for the past 14 years, redraft. So I've specialized in redraft for so long. And one of my philosophies is wait on quarterback. So someone he's 37 years old now. He was passed on for a while in my draft and in my home league. And I actually ended up trading for Aaron Rodgers in the after week 6. So if you recall, Rodgers had obviously won MVP, had a phenomenal season, except for that week 6 where he threw 2 interceptions against Tampa Bay, 160 yards, scored practically no points. So I ended up making a trade with a guy who had Russell Wilson, who was doing phenomenal. So he was like, "Oh, I can dump a quarterback." So I actually had drafted Le'Veon Bell in the beginning of the season because I was like, "It's Le'Veon Bell; he's gonna do great," and we all knew how that worked out. But right around that time, Le'Veon Bell got picked up by Kansas City, so I kind of used that to my advantage.
That's the way to do it, man. That is the way to do it.
So I was stoked because then the rest of the season, I think Rodgers finished with, 31 touchdowns in the air and then 3 rushing touchdowns and only like 3 interceptions. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I was just stoked to have someone like that especially at his age, although we know Brady can do it. So, but just someone at his age and just putting out that production. Unfortunately, I didn't have Devontae to go with it, but I was excited to have that kind of consistent production at a, I think I'd started the season drafting Matt Ryan, and every time he sits on my bench, he gets 30 points, and then when I start him, he gets 2 points. So I was excited to have Aaron Rodgers, and he actually led me to the playoffs. Unfortunately, I lost in the semifinals to my wife, so I don't know if there's something much better than that.
Have you heard the end of that yet, or no?
Well, she didn't win the championship, but she has the Patty Mahomes and Tyreek stack.
Hey,
Lord, that's a deadly stack, man.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely Aaron Rodgers was one of my top hits for the year.
Yeah, and he was going so late. I mean, what he was like QB 15 or something off the board. Yeah. And you know how Aaron Rodgers is. He's that quarterback with the old chip on his shoulder. He's still pissed off about. Yeah, he's still mad about. I think it was Alex Smith went number 1 in 2005 when he got drafted. Yeah. He's still mad about that. And it's been. I think
the 49ers forget that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you. So, no, I think that's an awesome – and you did it right, man. You look for someone, like you said Russell Wilson ended up, crapping the bed a little bit towards the end of the season. That's the way, dude. That's the blueprint, I think, to a nice redraft trade right there. All right, so I'm gonna hit mine real quick. I'll go David Montgomery first. Um, I don't know when the heck the first article actually I ever wrote for Going for Two was called "The Anatomy of an RB1," and I looked at, and we all know we've been playing redraft long enough. I've been playing about 15 years as well, Derek. Jay's been playing for at least 26, I believe, right? Something like that.
close around. I've been since the late '90s, so I'm definitely at least over 20, probably 22 years, something like that.
My man.
When I started playing, there was no live scoring, and you had to get the. I wasn't the whole, you got to figure it out by newspaper. I'm not that old, but there was no live scoring. You had to wait till the next day. I remember when it was such a big thing that they had live scoring, and you had to pay for it. CBS was the first one to offer it. And you had to pay for the league in order to get live scoring. Wow.
So that's wild. I think I started with Yahoo in like 2004 or something like that. But anyways, so like you said, we've been playing redraft long enough. We know volume is king. So I looked at David Montgomery from 2019. I said, man, this guy, he could be one of these. I don't want to say league winner, but a really good player on your team in 2020. He was RB 18 in opportunities per game in 2019. Inside the top 10 and carries inside the 5 and the 10. So he's getting all the goal line work for Chicago. Granted, not a great offense. However, we saw how James Robinson could do on not a great offense in 2020. He was RB 27 ADP, so that was, to me, I mean, man, you're scooping him up in, Lord, no, the 5th, 6th, 7th round of your drafts. So obviously the Tariq Cohen injury definitely helped him with in the passing game as well. But I mean, I'm looking at this right here. I believe this is from Player Profiler. He was number 1 in most routes ran by running backs in 2020.
Wow.
So I mean, obviously Chicago and Matt Nagy's not going anywhere, whether we agree on that or not. But
at least one more season.
At least one more, right? So they found a way to utilize the man. Whether that helped their football, they made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yay? Yeah, they lost to New Orleans in the first round.
That's right. Thank you. Yes, my brain is not as good as it used to be way back in the day. But so, long story short, his 2021 outlook, I am not predicting a top 12 finish by any means. But I think he's a solid RB2 that I still believe is going to get disrespected in ADP. So Tariq Cohen, I believe, is a free agent as well, so he could be gone. So you have a bell.
No, he actually, not to interrupt you, but he is back. He signed a contract last year, so Tariq Cohen will be back.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, for some reason I had read that he was potentially a free agent, but
they were talking about trading him. That might have been what it was.
That must have been it. Yeah, and we know the quarterback situation can't get any worse. It only is up from here. So when they get Carson Wentz, and I know that stings Derek a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, all right. So to our next one here, Jay, who else do you have for one of your biggest hits from 2020?
This is more of looking towards dynasty, but Cam Akers. A lot of people thought he crapped a bed. He was a bust early on. The way that Darrell Henderson and what was the other dude's name? I can't even think of his name right now. The other guy that. McVay was giving cares. Malcolm Brown. The way that it looked like McVay was going to do what he's done some in the past and have a full-blown committee, but Cam Akers is just too talented. He was somebody who I targeted in a lot of drafts. I got him all over the place. I will say I was tempted to trade him in one league. Our buddy, what's his name? He goes by Wayne Brady that writes with us.
Luke.
Yeah, Luke, he was trying hard to get Cam Akers for me, and I almost did it, but I'm glad I did not. His talent, the way that McVay, I see him as being next year, I think he's going to use him like he used Gurley a few years ago and get that volume, especially with Matthew Stafford. I am ecstatic that I did not give up on him, that, I stuck with it, and, I got him in a lot of places. CEH went ahead of him. J.K. Dobbins went ahead of him. And I like both of those guys, but I think Akers is going to outperform both.
Agreed. What do you think, Derek? Do you like Cam Akers for let's say from a dynasty perspective?
Oh, absolutely. Dynasty perspective. I mean, he's what, 20?
He's 21.
No, is he really?
He is younger than almost every running back coming out in this year, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, age alone is huge, and just seeing the production, I don't think Henderson maybe there may be some carries there, but I don't think Yeah, see, I forgot his name. Malcolm Brown will have much of a play in there.
You're not the
but
only
I'm
one. I
curious-
just did too. So.
I am curious, with Matt Stafford in, what that's going to do.
It has to open the
If anything,
offense
I think that would have to help him.
Yeah, I think it opens the offense up a lot. And you look at, I was arguing with somebody, not arguing, we were having a lively debate on Twitter the other day so it was Akers versus Dobbins. I love Dobbins. I really do. I think he's in a great situation as far as Baltimore goes. However, if you look at their last 6 games of the season, Cam Akers saw 139 opportunities, including the 2 playoff games. That is bell cow usage. I think Dobbins was like 79 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm not bagging on Dobbins by any means, but I think
I love
Akers,
Dobbins, but I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head. The opportunity is there more for Cam Akers. He's going to have Lamar Jackson taking away goal line carries. They're talking about re-signing Gus Edwards. I love if they were in the same situation, I would go J.K. Dobbins. If they had the exact same amount of touches, I like J.K. Dobbins more, but I like the situation better. I was about to say St. Louis and Los Angeles.
Oh, see, he's been playing the game for a long time, folks.
I know.
Hey, just to show you how much I love Cam Akers. So I've finished. I hate to even admit this. I finished second 2 years in a row in my main dynasty league, and the guy and I've lost to the same guy 2 years in a row. He and I made a trade. I traded him Josh Jacobs in the 112 for Cam Akers in the 106.
Wow.
Sorry. Cam Akers in the 112, and I traded him Jacob Dobbins in the 106. Yes, there we go. I got it right.
All right. Hey, we follow you.
We got it. But yeah, man, I love me some Cam Akers, and I was not high on him coming into this season. I thought production matters a lot in college, and he was good-ish behind a terrible offensive line, but like I think you said it, Jay. McVay has shown himself he will give a running back all the carries if they're talented enough. And
absolutely.
What was it, 2017, 2018?
Yeah, because he ended my hopes and dreams. I had a stacked team. I went my home league. I think I went 12-1 and lost to Todd Gurley in the semifinals. I ran out to go grab some. We were picking up a pizza. Literally, I was gone 15 minutes, and Todd Gurley had ran back-to-back 40-yard touchdowns, and that just sunk my day. I'll never forget it. It was awful.
It hurts so bad. It's just not.
And I'm
fun.
not a huge college football guy, but I think if I do watch it, I watch the ACC. I'm in North Carolina, so I'm an ACC country. So I saw a lot of Cam Akers. So just like you said, he didn't have the production necessarily, but that's why you got to be careful about reading stat sheets versus actually watching the guys. And I saw his game translating to the NFL.
Analytics versus film study.
Right. I think you got to have a good balance of both.
Oh, 100% agree. 100%. Derek, who do you got for your next? Who's your big time hit?
My other one was Keenan Allen. So another guy who's, in terms of dynasty, is starting to. I mean, he's only 28, starting to get up there in age, but has always been pretty consistent. Aside from an injury a few years ago, took him out for most of the year, and I think, at least in some leagues I was in, I think some people were scared of Keenan Allen at first because of Tyrod Taylor. Knowing the starting, not sure when Herbert was going to come in.
I was one of those people.
I'll be there as well. Yep.
I actually took him in one league. I took him. He was the 28th wide receiver off the board, and he finished as the 14th wide receiver in PPR league. So, I mean, the value there was awesome. He tied his touchdown record. I mean, from his rookie year, he had 8 touchdowns and finally got back to that this year. And I think just the chemistry now, I think he's going to go a lot sooner than that this year. But I was again thrilled to get that value, and I actually drafted him, so I didn't trade him away or anything. But and I had Eckler as well. So I mean, every game they're both getting 10 to 15 targets. I mean, it's insane.
It was wild. It was like a 2-man show down there. And,
yeah, pretty much.
Hey, almost at San Diego, Jay. So, Los Angeles. Hey, so a couple questions about Keenan Allen. Where are you taking him? Or again, for both of y'all, actually, where do y'all feel comfortable taking him in, let's say, redraft in 2021? Because I've heard some people say top 5. I think that was actually the fantasy footballers. And I was like, whew, I don't know about that. But
That would be tough to go top 5. I would be more than happy to have it. I'm the type of guy I like to go running back heavy the first 2 rounds. It's just so hard to find a bell cow back. There's always depth, especially here recently with the talent that's come out from the NFL draft. If I could wind up getting him in the back end of the second, the first or the third, I'd be more than happy with that. And, let me see if I can find his ADP real quick. I'd be more than happy with that.
Well, I've got it pulled up, man.
Hey, you know what you're doing, my friend.
Let's race. How about that? I need to control F here. Y'all talk while I do this. No, so he's going. It looks like 24th overall right now, and that's according to Fantasy Football Calculator. So you know how they do. They run drafts kind of like throughout. Yep.
Back end of the second. So yeah, I would gladly, if I was able to get a stud running back in the first, I would gladly take him there.
So you're comfortable,
especially in the third. It would be hard to pass up on a running back of the same draft capital. Like I don't know who would go around there, like a Miles Sanders.
So right behind him is Antonio Gibson, James Robinson, David Montgomery, Austin Eckler.
I would go ahead, Derek.
Well, just hearing those guys, I mean, what were the 3 names again? Montgomery, Robinson, Gibson.
I missed my Gibson and Robinson. Yep.
Yeah, so I'd probably take Gibson, then Allen, then Montgomery, then Robinson, probably.
Gotcha.
And it depends on how the draft's going, where I'm at. Because if I'm drafting at the end of the first round, I'm probably not going to get Keenan Allen by the time it comes back to me in the third.
No, absolutely.
And like Jay said, I'm going to focus more on getting because Mahomes is probably going to be in there potentially somewhere. If someone, maybe, I don't know if someone's going to draft him in the first round, but someone seems like always does.
It seems like it always happens.
Travis Kelce goes somewhere, so I'm going to try to jump on can I get a stud running back? Hopefully, even would a Dalvin Cook fall to me? Maybe, depending on where they rank Barkley and Jonathan Taylor and that kind of thing. So it depends. Yeah, if I'm drafting top 3 in the first round, maybe it does fall back to me in the second or third. I definitely would take a shot on.
Yeah, I'd go Gibson, no question. I would most likely go Eckler as well. I know I'm probably going to get shredded for this. I still have a hard time buying into James Robinson long term. I know he was a stud this year, but they really don't have any draft capital in them. There's a new regime. I would not be surprised to see them draft somebody. Trevor Lawrence can run, so that's going to take a little bit away. Not anything drastic, but it's wart after wart after wart. Eventually, they start adding up. So he's not somebody I would feel comfortable taking that early.
You think about undrafted running backs that were relevant for fantasy, or like let's say really good for fantasy. Arian Foster, Priest Holmes. That's the 2 I think of off the top of my head. I've been wanting to argue this with somebody, but y'all seem like you're on the same page as me. So dadgummit, I can't do it. But let's move on here. I'll get my last hit my last hit here was Stephon Diggs. I've always been a fan of his game. I think he's an amazing route runner. Matt Harmon thinks so too. Based off his reception perception, 2018 and 2019, he enjoyed an entirely green route tree, meaning he was over the average in success on every single route in the NFL, or that's in the route tree, we'll say. Josh Allen, that was the major. I think you said it earlier, Jay. The major wart was Josh Allen because his freaking. I think I actually researched it. His completion percentage went up 11 percentage points from 2019 to 2020.
Insane.
Like, is that sustainable? I don't know. I don't think Stephon Diggs is a top 5 type fantasy wide receiver. Give him to me, wide receiver 1 though, easily. That's in my opinion his outlook, because he is the alpha there. He almost had the I'll give him the volume triple crown. He didn't get the touchdowns, but he got the target number 1 in targets, number 1 in receptions, number 1 in receiving yards.
And I absolutely love the bromance that they have going on between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs too, man. It's fantastic. They're going to be, if they're not married, they're going to be the best men at each other's wedding. Like, there's no question.
I don't know if y'all ever watched 96 Questions with he's retired now. Anyways, the Minnesota Vikings, but he was on the Vikings. Stephon Diggs is one of the most funny, charismatic guys in the NFL. Like, just an amazing, just so entertaining on and off the field.
Yeah,
But
he's got a
all
lot
right,
of heart too.
dude, he does. Yeah, for sure. All right, so now I want to keep this pod. I want to keep myself and my guest accountable on this pod. We're going to hit our misses, but we're gonna I guess go over our misses. We're getting a little long in the tooth here. It's been about 30 minutes, so we might just bust. We'll do all right. So how about this, guys? We'll do our number one biggest miss of 2020, and I'll start with you, Derek.
Oh, number one. I got to go Zach Moss. So I came into Twitter back into June. So I'm newish to Twitter and the fantasy football community and that kind of thing. Zach Moss was by far the first player that I got in on the Twitter hype. And you're already.
And we've all been there. It happens to it. It happened to me a few
Oh.
years ago with Rashad Penny.
You
So
just get
don't
swept
worry
up.
about it.
I'm
It
trying to
happens,
figure out
man.
what
Like
rookie
Dorothy.
this year is that guy. It seems like it's like a loaded class, but you've seen the whole is it Justin Fields? Is it Trevor Lawrence? But the Zach Moss hype was like real, and I was like I would search his name on Twitter and be like, oh, this person has 15,000 followers and they like Zach Moss. I was so bought in. I drafted him like in the fourth round of I was like convinced he was like Singletary, screw him. I was like, this is Moss. And there's definitely potential, especially dynasty and that kind of thing. But as far as like where I drafted him, I passed on, for instance, I passed on someone like Ronald Jones, who, again, people were questionable, like, what's he going to do? And he had a pretty decent year. So yeah, I just definitely jumped the gun on that one. Probably could have waited a little bit.
So I know who you follow on Twitter then, because that was the ball blast ladies.
Yeah,
they were huge on Zach
I wasn't going to
Moss.
say names, but yeah.
Oh no, it's all, whatever. They're not watching this by any means. And not calling them out because
they've admitted to the mistake. So
of course, yeah. But they did not like Rojo either. I'm pretty sure she got a mention from Rojo in her. But anyways, but yeah, man. Yeah, Zach Moss. PFF really liked Zach Moss, actually. I listen to their podcast a lot. So, yeah, fair enough. Fourth round. Ooh, that hurts, man.
Yeah,
Let's see what Jay's got here.
This one hurts pretty bad. It's going to hurt Derek, too, on this. Mr. Carson Wentz, I was all in this year, man. It works out sometimes. It worked out for me last year because I was all in on guys like Miles Sanders and Lamar Jackson, Godwin. So I had a really good last year. I was all in on Carson Wentz, and I drafted him all over the place. And, yeah, that did not work out well. I like the value. I thought the line wasn't going to be that bad. I really like Jalen Reagor. I thought that Sean Jackson, he's obviously not what he used to be. But I thought that he was going to at least have, a few Deshaun Jackson games and be that deep threat that he needs. And boy, it fell apart quick. I think he early in the season was as bad as the offensive line was. And we know now that Doug Peterson really wasn't all in on Carson Wentz, so he didn't set him up for much success. But he got into his own head early in the season, and he never recovered.
What do you think? So you're the Eagles fan, Derek. What do you think happened with that? Was it Lane Johnson and Andre Dillard going down, or just confidence?
Yeah. It's funny. It's interesting to see just how quickly that spiraled out of control in the past, 2 years. But yeah, the injuries just took a toll like crazy. I mean, our offensive line alone, I just saw a stat. He got, I don't have it off the top of my head, but he got sacked, the most. I think it was him and Watson this year. Like, he was just being rushed like crazy. And then hearing about, I don't know how true it is, all the drama between him and Peterson and the locker room. I mean, there was more drama in that locker room than there is on a season of The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I mean, it was insane. So I just think, yeah, you could just see it. I mean, in every game we were losing, we were down, and every time he would come off the field after a three and out, you could just see it in Wentz's face. He just was not happy. And I think that just is confident. And especially you have this guy we drafted in the second round just looming, waiting for his turn. I'm sure that plays a toll on him as well. But I just feel like he hasn't been the same since his injury. So yeah, it's kind of hard to watch. But we can only go up from here now. So
That's right. You've reached the end of the tunnel. Now there's only light. So
Mhm.
it should be. We're going to see what happens with Carson Wentz. Anyways, I it's I find it hard to see him getting traded just because of that contract. It's so huge. But at the same time, I believe, like you had said, Derek, that relationship has been fractured. Whether Peterson's there or not, that relationship has been fractured there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I
So
hope he winds up in Indianapolis, man. I would really. I've got him in some dynasty places too. I got him super late. You know me, I'm all about the value. I got him in a super flex startup, I think in the 8th round or something like that. So I got him super late.
Yeah.
You know, man, put him behind a good offensive line, the weapons that they got there, the running game with Jonathan Taylor. There's rumors that they want to sign Chris Godwin. You know, imagine get Carson Wentz, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. I think he could bounce back real quick.
I don't have over the cap up right now, but I do believe Indy has the most cap room going
I
into
think you're right.
2021. So they could do something like that. They really could. And you put, like you said, put Carson Wentz behind that line. Lord have mercy. He's got a good arm. We know that. He's got a big arm.
Yeah.
It's just that confidence, like y'all were saying. This is so sad to admit. It's just a dumb thing on my part. You latch onto a player and you're like, yeah, Jordan Howard. I thought he was going to be something. I really did. And you saw it in the first, 2 or 3 games with Miami. He was actually getting all the goal line carries. He wasn't getting much between the 20s work.
It's like 3 carries for 3 yards with 3 touchdowns or something crazy like that.
It's like a Mike Tolbert line back in the day.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
But, man, so his first 3 seasons, I was taking his, kind of experience as a starter. So he's RB10, RB12, RB20 in half PPR. He was going as RB 31 going into 2020. I was like, okay, I can mess with that. I did not get into the Scott Fish Bowl, so that's fine. Whatever. Hey, Scott, if you're listening, I know you're not, but I would love to be in
Hey, he might be.
But, whatever. I was in the Satellite League. Weren't you in there as well, Derek?
Yes. Yep.
So I took Jordan Howard. Oh, my God. In the 9th round of my Satellite League.
Ooh, that hurts.
I still won that. I didn't win the whole thing, but I still won my division or whatever it's called. So, obviously there was room for a fantasy productive running back there because you had, Savon Ahmed showed up when it was his opportunity, and then Myles Gaskin lit the world on fire.
He
Man,
really did.
He was legit. Oh my gosh, RB10 in points per game in a half-point PPR after you factor out the 1 or 2 game type people.
Right.
So it just goes to show to me that running backs will burn as bright as a freaking star and then fade away so quick like that. Because RB10 in his rookie season, we had high hopes for him, but
yeah,
super duper wrong about Jordan Howard. That's what I was.
It happens.
Hayden Hurst is my other guy, and I don't even want to. Sad.
Mine was Preston Williams, but I'd rather that hurts my heart. Still love Preston Williams. But.
I was big on him going into this season as well, and he can't get out of the injury bug, dude.
That's the thing.
All right, so professional transition, not really, but we're going to talk about a little bit of ideal scenarios, we'll call it, for free agency as well as the draft for our 3 teams. So I'm a Cowboys fan. Jay, it says G-Men Jay right there, so you know who he supports. He's a Giants fan. And then Derek's an Eagles fan. I don't know why we haven't been more cantankerous with each other yet.
We get along pretty well.
This is weird. If we had a live game together, it might be.
If Dan was here, Dan's the one that likes to stir the pot. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, and I forgot to say this earlier. If anybody has any questions or whatever for us, we're running a little bit, kind of short on time, but we'd be happy to, if you threw some questions up there, to answer any questions that y'all got. But what I want to do, I'll hit Derek. Let's go with you first, man. As far as free agency goes for the Eagles, what would you like to see? What would be your ideal scenario?
Oh, I would actually like to, as far as positional goes, I would like to see. I would love to see someone like Allen Robinson for us to get a big receiver. Again, we may get someone through the draft, maybe, but. Our receiving core is just like decimated, and I'm still a little bitter that we passed on Justin Jefferson and missed out on CeeDee Lamb, and maybe Jefferson wouldn't have been amazing on the Eagles.
And DK Metcalf the year before, not to
And
rub the salt in the wound or anything.
So,
Rubbing
like,
the salt.
we're just missing on all these guys. It's like almost like I'm drafting the Eagles team or something. But I would love to have someone like Allen Robinson, who, I mean, he's been playing on obviously the Bears with, quarterback carousel, and Nick Foles, who will always have a piece of my heart as well. But I would love to see someone like a big receiver to pair with Reagor. I mean, he's what, I think he's 6'3", someone to kind of contest those catches, and who knows where we're at with quarterback. But my big one right now is Allen Robinson.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just rough for the Eagles, I think, because they're, according to overthecap.com, they're $49 million over the salary cap. So
that doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they unload that Carson Wentz contract to someone else, that could definitely help a little bit. But I think Allen Robinson as the heir to Alshon Jeffrey would be amazing. I mean, a 91st percentile catch radius, he's what you're looking for, whether it be Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts at the QB position.
Absolutely.
What do you think about as far as the draft goes? So I've got I have Daniel Jeremiah's draft pulled up here. He just did it, I believe it was yesterday. So he had the Eagles taking as my singing voice go, Kyle Pitts. What do you think?
I love that. I actually had I wrote a couple guys down. Kyle Pitts is one of them. Again, like, he's the big tight end guy. I don't even know if I know of any other rookie tight ends this year. It's just Kyle Pitts. I would love that to pair with Dallas Goedert. I mean, I think sounds like Zach Ertz might be on his way out. So having those, for forever we had Ertz, which is awesome. I would love now with Goddard pair someone like Kyle Pitts. I think that would also help our receiving core tremendously. He seems like I think he's a pretty big guy too. Like, I think that would definitely help our offense. So I would love that, or someone like Jamar Chase. I don't know if he would fall to us if the Dolphins get him. There's some good talent out there. I'm just worried about. I mean, we have such a good. We're such a good spot to pick this year, and I'm just worried we're going to mess it up. But who knows? Who knows?
What would you think about necessarily like if one of the three big quarterbacks falls to 6? What would you think about maybe trading back with like a Carolina and picking up maybe an extra second round pick or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. The other thing too is, I know the Eagles are looking for at least a first round pick with Wentz. It sounds like they're not going to get that unless a team gives in. But yeah, I don't think I'd be opposed. I guess it just depends on, because we also need like cornerback help. So I guess it just depends on what they feel comfortable with falling to. But yeah, I mean, it could benefit us. What did Miami? What is Carolina?
They're 8th. They're picking 8th. So you'd only move back 2 spots.
That's not too bad.
No, not at all. I mean, depending on who's obviously already. I mean, you could get a Jalen Waddle. You could get a Devonta Smith. There's a lot of options out there. Where I think pretty much everybody I've seen is Jamar Chase is going to either number 3 with the Miami Dolphins, or they're going to number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles. So,
I actually saw a stat the other day. It says no team has selected first-round wideouts in consecutive drafts in 15 years. So Eagles would be the first.
Wow.
And yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Was the Lions the last one with what, Charles Rogers and Mike Williams? Was that?
Yeah.
The last ones that I remember.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I
showing
thought
my age there with those names, but
yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know where
we're phone right now. Who the hell is that?
Yeah. So I don't know where we'll end up, but I just hope we get some. I mean, we need help on both sides of the ball, obviously, but
yeah. I mean,
selfishly, I would love another offensive talent.
Yeah, of course. And I forgot to say this earlier, but as far as for whatever you want to take as far as PFF grades go, Philadelphia was ranked 28th by PFF. New York was 21st. Dallas is 27th. So I take solace in the fact that Dallas is at least one spot better than Philadelphia. But Jay, what about you, man? What do you see? Obviously, we're talking about ideal scenarios, but what do you see actually happening for the New York Giants?
Well, Gettleman said that we need playmakers, so I really hope this is finally the time that we actually do it. And we find, I don't have an issue with Daniel Jones. The jury's still out whether he's a franchise quarterback or not. I think he can be good enough. I don't think he's the talent that is going to elevate the whole team like a Josh Allen, like a Patrick Mahomes, and carry anybody to a Super Bowl. But if you put I've said this a few times. I think he's pretty much like Eli Manning. I think he's good enough that if you put a solid defense and you give him some good weapons, that he can make a deep playoff run and potentially win a Super Bowl. We have to get a number one wide out. Sterling Shepard is not a number one wide receiver. Heck, he might not be a number two wide receiver. I like Slayton, but he's a poor man's Deshaun Jackson. Like he's still got potential. He's still young. I would like us to go all in, sign a number one wide receiver, a Kenny Galladay, an Allen Robinson, something along those lines. And honestly, I would like to double up in the draft too. If Waddle falls to us or another one of these wide receivers, I would love. I don't think he'll fall that far. Sign a big name wide receiver, cut Evan Ingram, and draft Kyle Pitts. That's like my dream scenario. So, because they could save $6 million off the cap by cutting him. I think Tate's definitely gone. I think Zietler's going to be gone. Solder's either going to retire or get cut. So there's a possibility of them clearing up enough space to be able to sign that number one wide receiver.
Yeah, man, I could definitely see that happening. Notable free agents from the Giants: Leonard Williams, who was like kind of a revelation for y'all this year.
Yeah,
along with Dalvin Tomlinson. Y'all actually had the ninth fewest points allowed in the NFL.
The defense is finally on the way back up. Yes. It really is, and it started with Leonard Williams.
Yeah, and anchoring that defensive line, which is kind of what the Eagles' strategy was for that Super Bowl run there with Fletcher Cox and all those guys. Yeah, man. So let's see. Daniel Jeremiah had them taking Gregory Rousseau, who, from what I've heard, he's kind of an edge. He's kind of a hybrid type guy along the defensive line from Miami. So we'll see. I guess that was kind of.
I would not be surprised if though Gettleman likes his hog mollies, and the two Super Bowls we won in the 2000s, it started at the offensive line and the defensive line. So you can never have too many pass rushers. We were lining up Osi Umenyiora, Justin Tuck. What was
JPP?
Justin Tuck, JPP, and Michael Strahan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no, Strahan was after that, but it was I was thinking of the 07 Super Bowl. So Strahan, I think like Barry Robbins or something like that. Like man, it was just unreal.
You're talking about an incredible get pressure with four. My goodness, it was awesome. I actually. I'll get past the Patriots game where they knocked them off from being like the perfect season and all that.
I was at that game. I went to that Super Bowl.
Did you really?
Dog.
Yeah,
awesome.
One of the best nights of my life. I just never. Me and my dad went out there. We went out the Thursday the night before. No tickets, no nothing. Just trying to find tickets, and we got it Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. We got tickets.
Wow.
And it was in Arizona, so the game was at 4. So we only had 5 hours to get there. Luckily, we were only like a 15-minute drive from the stadium. But yeah, man, I will never forget that night the rest of my life.
That was the old David Tyree helmet.
Yep, David Tyree. It's Eli dropping the fade to Plaxico to win it all. I was on that side of the field too. Granted, we were upper deck, but hey, I was in the building.
Hey, dude. Yeah, that's something you could tell. Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
I actually just watched that drive. I found that drive on YouTube. And I just forgot how amazing that whole drive was.
Yeah, the 4th and 1 that Jacobs had to convert.
Yeah, for as much as it's the Giants and I'm an Eagles fan, that kind of thing. It was just like an incredible. They faced third down a couple times, and then obviously the
what's his name? I think Asante Samuel dropped a pick that was a sure thing, right in his hands. Like there was so many things that had to break right.
Awesome.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
You got that right. Ask David Tyree.
My man, dude, I remember spilling so much beer when that play happened. I was sitting on my college dorm room couch, and all of us jumped up and flipped the coffee table. Like we were all so pumped. Not like we did it not on purpose, but
right.
As far as my dream scenario with Dallas, I don't have any fantasy relevant stuff. Please God, give us defense. Please, God, give us defense. And, of course, let's sign Dak. I don't give a flip what it takes to sign him. Give him $40 million.
Go, man.
Just can't do it. Andy Dalton is definitely not the answer. And he was on a one-year deal anyways.
Right.
So that's all I have to say about Dallas. I hope
now, what do you think happens? I know what you want to happen. Yeah. Do you think Dak winds back there?
I think he does, man. I think
I do too.
I've heard several people say it, so I won't take credit for this, but you make so much more money as a Dallas Cowboys quarterback than just your salary. What's he got? He's got Campbell's Chunky Soup. He's got the sleep number. He's got all sorts of little deals out there, endorsements and stuff. So I do think he wants back. Jerry has shown himself to be a pushover in these things. What did Zeke say? Zeke wanted that $90 million. Jerry's like, oh, no, we're not giving that to him. What happened? We ruined our future for a freaking running back. But I won't talk about the running backs don't matter situation. But hey, that's pretty much it for us. I have one more thing to ask to both of you. And I'm going to start with Jay. I'm going to finish it off with the dude who is the most prolific user of the Office GIFs on Twitter. Jay, who is your favorite Office character? And let me know why.
So obviously the easy answer is Michael Scott. I think he's technically everybody's favorite, so you can't go with Michael Scott. Like, he's just the lovable guy everybody loves. I'm going to go with Creed. I just love the random humor. Like, that's just my type of humor, just the random out of nowhere, when he comes to work with blood all over him and he says, good day to come in with paint or something like that. Like, just the randomness. And, he wasn't even supposed to be a regular character. I don't know if you've ever saw, he's got a really interesting story. For me, that's, obviously you can go with Kevin, you could go with Oscar. I mean, you could go with just about anybody, but I love the randomness of the Creed humor.
Okay. I can dig it. I never got the Creed. Like, of course he's funny, obviously, but like everybody says Creed, I'm like, hey, man.
It's the randomness is what I like. I just love the random humor.
One of my best friends is the same way. He's like, dude, I just love the randomness. So yeah, I feel you. Derek, what you got?
So here's the thing. So I have to go with the obvious of Michael Scott. And I wrote down a couple things because I was like, I can't forget. So with Michael Scott, you get alter egos. Okay, so you have a couple of good ones. Michael Klump. You have Date Mike. You have Prison Mike, and you have Caleb Crawdad. He's also. I'll give you a couple other reasons here. He's also very generous. So who else offers a group of kids to pay? He offered to pay their college tuition if they graduated high school. I mean, who does that?
And then delivers laptop batteries.
Yeah.
They're lithium.
They're lithium, yeah. He has some of the best GIFs out there. I mean, is it a GIF or a GIF? I don't know, but
I think it's a GIF. People say GIF, but it is a GIF. The guy who invented it, who came up with it, said it's GIF.
I don't care what he thinks. It's not the kingdom. It's not the kingdom of Jondor. It's the kingdom of Gondor that keeps Mordor's forces at bay. Okay, that's a Lord of the Rings joke. I'm a nerd.
But I mean, you search.
Hey, aren't we all in the fantasy space?
Yeah, right. You search Michael Scott in GIFs on Twitter. I mean, or texting or whatever. You can any scenario, whether happy, sad, angry, it's right there. And the last one is That's What She Said. I mean, that's like iconic. I don't know if that was a thing before The Office.
I think it kind of was. Like, if I remember, like it was nowhere near where Michael Scott brought it. But
yeah, so. Obviously, but my underrated, not used very often character is Vikram. Actually, I love Vikram. Such a small character, but I just love him. So
that's awesome.
You didn't bring up Michael Scarn though. Like that's his number one alter ego.
Sorry, Michael Scarn. Yeah, how could I forget that?
Yeah, but you did bring up Caleb Crawdad, so that's you get extra credit for that.
Yeah,
in a murder.
How about you, Eric?
I have to say Dwight, man. I know that's an easy, like, low hanging fruit, but I love the character development actually in Dwight. Like,
he was such him and Jim's relationship too.
Yeah, he was such a dick in the beginning. That was my first cuss word of the pod. I'm sorry, y'all, for the three people that are on there. But he ended up being like such a good dude at the end. So here's my problem with Michael, and I love Michael. He legitimately has mental issues. Like, That he literally needs to go to a psychiatrist because that's not. Same thing with Andy Bernard. I think Andy Bernard is the worst character in the history of The Office. He's such a jerk, and he really doesn't improve too much. But no, I love Dwight, man. I love the humor behind it. I love the it is your birthday. My wife and I actually do that to each other. Like anytime
that's fantastic.
we put it is your birthday. I made her a Valentine's Day card. It said it is Valentine's Day. Like they're just like iconic things that I took from Dwight. But yeah, man, I love all the characters, to be honest. I'm very sad that Netflix took it off of there, but
Rough.
I don't know. I think 25 watch throughs is probably enough at this point.
You can never watch it. The Office is one of those shows that you can never watch enough. Office, Parks and Rec. I've probably seen every episode of The Simpsons like 16 times each. So.
Oh, so your boy, I want to say it was I think his name is Justin from the 14 Personnel Pod.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he put up that The New Girl is funnier than what Parks and Rec and The Office, him, JL, Marco, Simon, the Front Yard Fantasy guys, the 14 Personnel guys, they all love New Girl. I've never watched it, so I can't say, but I don't see how it's going to beat both of those.
I'll say this. It is freaking hilarious for the first maybe 3 seasons. I recommend it to you. Funny as The Office, though. Tell him from me.
That's who I'm going on with next, so I'll deliver the message for him.
Tell him I'm pissed off and I need some recompense. No, have you seen The New Girl, Derek?
Here and there, I haven't watched. It's on my list. Like, you have a queue of 18 shows you want to watch. But my wife loves the show, but she wouldn't say it's funnier than The Office.
Gotcha. No, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is another sleeper.
I do love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's hilarious. I love Andy Samberg. Plus Terry Crews. I mean,
he refers to himself in the third person like he's The Rock or something. Terry said this. But hey, man, once again, I just wanted to say I appreciate the heck out of y'all coming on here. You are 2 of my legitimate favorite people on Twitter, and I'm so happy to actually get to kind of face-to-face talk with y'all finally after.
I know, I feel like I know you guys, but this is like the first real conversation we've all had together. So.
Yeah, just let us plug whatever you want to plug, or just tell us what's going on. Derek, go ahead, man. Are you working on anything?
I actually, it's funny. I actually reached out to Jay the other day about. So I write for Going for Two, as well as you guys. But
rocking the Going for Two sweatshirt, I like that.
Yes, the No Kickers Going for Two.
Available at ViridianGlobal.com for anybody that's looking to get some
swag
out there.
I failed. I don't have
new swag out there. Yeah. I during the season again, I focused primarily on redraft. I was doing a cut 'em or keep 'em, a weekly series there, and I kind of took my wife and I are expecting. I don't know if you guys knew a baby. So there's it's just been really busy, a lot of stuff going on. So I kind of took a break once the playoffs started and took a break, so I kind of took a hiatus, but I want to get back into writing again, so kind of drumming up ideas right now, more redraft. I actually started dabbling in Dynasty and Superflex, never really worked with that before, so in terms of some leagues, so excited just to continue to learn and read and watch everyone's podcasts and all that good stuff. So
awesome, man. What you got going on, Jay, besides 11 things?
I know, I'm all over the place, man. You can follow me on Twitter at GmanJ. I'm the lead redraft writer Going for Two. I also have a podcast with my friend Eagle Dan, FF Dan Turner, which we've referenced a few times. I give him a lot of crap, but he's like a brother to me. A podcast with Upside. Right now, the off season, we're doing every other Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We got some great guests coming up. We're doing a division by division breakdown. So for the AFC East, we've got JL Garofalo from Front Yard Fantasy. That's the AFC East. I meant AFC South.
East, yeah.
We got Jake Seeley coming on for the NFC East. We got Troy King coming on for the AFC East. So we got some good guests coming up. And I also the managing editor at sleeperwire.com. Similar to what Derek said, when it comes to writing, I lean more towards redraft. I have played Dynasty the past few years, but kind of taking a step back with, I've got 2 kids, haven't done as much writing, but I'm looking to get back into it. And I won't drop the secret yet, but I do have some articles in the works that might pop up at a different website or 2 here or there. So keep an eye out.
Let's go. Awesome. Yeah. So no, just like I said, once again, appreciate everybody who popped in here. Didn't get any questions. I'm a little disappointed. I'm just playing. It's all good, y'all. But no, once again, thank you too for coming on.
Thank you for the invite. Honored to be
Yeah, thanks
one
for
of the
the
first guests.
Of course, man. I had to have y'all two on here. It's just it had to happen that way. But yeah, this is the Bad Man's Pod. I am Eric. You can find me on Twitter at Fantasy Barbecue. Actually, just dropped, or actually, I think it's tomorrow. I have an IDP article coming out on Going for Two. It's called Fool's Gold or Diamond in the Rough. I'm going to tell you about 5
Oh,
IDP.
I like that.
Yeah, I forgot, I got a little flair about it. So I'm going to tell you about 5 players who kind of quote unquote broke out in 2020 and whether you can expect it to continue in 2021. Also, I'm a redraft writer over at Going for Two as well. So I think I'm going to wait a little bit to more of the off season before I start pumping some content out. But got some stuff coming out. Going to try and do this pod at least once a week. I have another pod. The EJC NFL pod is kind of our parent pod, whatever you want to call it. But I do that with my two best friends in the world. At that guy is Cam on Twitter and at Big Chill Squad on Twitter. So be on the lookout for that. We're gonna. I think we're dropping stuff on every. It depends on what they want to do. Basically, they tell me what. I have control issues, right? So, but they mess with me and they're like, "No, we're gonna do this on Saturday or Sunday, whatever." I'm like, "No, it needs to be a set schedule." But no, yeah, that's all we got for y'all. Jay, I will be watching here in about 30 minutes on the.
30 minutes. 14 personnel.
Let's go. All right, Derek. Appreciate you coming on, man. And y'all be good, and we'll see y'all next time.
We'll see you.
All right. See you, man.